Hello, and welcome to Equity News Now, your trusted source for the latest in access, diversity, equity, and inclusion news. I'm Ariane Harley Emerson, and here's what's making headlines today. Let's start with a major legal battle unfolding in the military. A new Pentagon memo states that transgender service members will be removed unless granted a waiver. This follows President Trump's executive order banning trans individuals from serving. Under this policy, military personnel diagnosed with gender dysphoria must be identified within 30 days, after which they will be honorably discharged, unless they qualify for an exemption. Additionally, military funds will no longer cover transition-related care. LGBTQIA+ rights groups are pushing back, arguing that this policy violates the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. Army Sergeant Kate Cole, a trans woman and one of the plaintiffs challenging the ban, warns that forcing out qualified personnel could destabilize the military and weaken national security. Estimates suggest that between 2,150 and 15,500 transgender service members could be affected. With multiple lawsuits underway, the future of the policy remains uncertain. Shifting now to immigration policy. Recent reports reveal a troubling trend: the outsourcing of deportations. Dozens of migrants, primarily from Asia, were deported from Texas only to unexpectedly land in Costa Rica instead of their home countries. Rather than being sent back directly, they now find themselves in legal limbo, stuck in a country where they have no ties. Critics argue this practice forces less affluent nations to take on the burden of housing and processing migrants the U.S. refuses to admit. Razin Zaman, Director of Immigrant Rights at the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund, describes it as coercion, suggesting that the U.S. is pressuring countries with fewer resources to manage a crisis they don't create. While Costa Rica offers refugee protections, many migrants fear persecution if they are ultimately forced to return home. The situation raises serious questions about the global impact of U.S. immigration policies. Now, let's turn to a legal fight in education. A new lawsuit in Maryland is challenging a Trump-era directive that forces schools to eliminate so-called race-based policies or risk losing federal funding. The memo issued on February 14th dramatically expands a Supreme Court decision banning race-conscious college admissions to include student life, extracurricular programs, and campus initiatives. Civil rights groups, including the American Federation of Teachers and the American Sociological Association, argue that this overreach violates free speech and could erase important diversity efforts nationwide. The Department of Education has yet to respond. But with legal action underway, this fight is far from over. Finally, in a groundbreaking moment for space exploration, the European Space Agency has cleared the first astronaut with a physical disability for a mission to the International Space Station. British surgeon and former Paralympic sprinter John McFall, who lost his right leg in a motorbike accident, has received medical approval for a 6-month mission. Selected in 2022 as part of a study on space travel for astronauts with disabilities, McFall says this milestone represents a shift toward greater inclusivity in space exploration. His mission date is yet to be determined, but the technology developed for his journey could have lasting benefits for prosthetic users both in space and here on Earth. That's it for today's Equity News Now. Stay informed, stay engaged, and don't forget to sign up for the Equity in Action newsletter for more updates on these stories and more. The link to the newsletter is in our bio, or you can visit equityseeings.com. See you next time.